If you're upgrading your phone in 2026, you're likely staring down a choice between the two heavyweights of the market, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra. Looking under the hood, the actual physical batteries inside these two devices hold very similar amounts of raw energy, but the way the manufacturers advertise their charging speeds creates a confusing gap in expectations. This table shows the core discrepancy written right on the spec sheet. Apple tops out at 45 watts using Power Delivery 3.1. Samsung claims a peak input of 65 watts using Quick Charge 4.0 Plus. On paper, a 20-watt mathematical advantage strongly implies the Samsung device will refill from 0 to 100% much faster than the iPhone. But the laws of thermodynamics often interfere. Smartphone batteries exist in tightly sealed, ultra-thin enclosures, and they cannot absorb peak electrical wattage for long without generating intense high levels of heat. We need to look past the marketing numbers. By examining how thermal physics can erode that 65-watt advantage in real time, you can figure out which brand's power strategy actually aligns with how you live your life. Choosing a premium device based solely on that peak wattage marketing claim creates a potential disconnect between the specs on the box and the experience on your nightstand. To test these claims fairly, we have to start with a baseline where both phones are completely dead, sitting at 0% battery. Once plugged in, Samsung attacks the first 15 minutes of the charge. The phone utilizes that 65-watt quick charge protocol to blast the highest possible amount of power into the battery as quickly as it can. The immediate outcome of this sprint is impressive. The S26 Ultra reaches a 50% charge in roughly 15 minutes. The iPhone 17 Pro Max takes 25 minutes to hit that same mark. For anyone who only has time for a rapid top-up, those 10 saved minutes are a significant, tangible win. But that speed comes with a trade-off. Cramming that much energy into a slim chassis in 15 minutes creates a heavy thermal load inside the Samsung device. This triggers a process called thermal throttling. To protect the physical battery from degradation, the device's firmware steps in and forcibly slows the charging speed down to cool the system. This graph maps Samsung's speed. It hits an initial 65-watt peak, plummeting to a 40-watt plateau after 15 minutes. Apple caps input at 45 watts, pairing it with a hardware vapor chamber to pull heat away instantly, maintaining a stable flat line. Because Apple generates less initial heat, they rarely trigger heavy thermal throttling. Their power curve stays consistent and sustained from start to finish, producing less thermal waste along the way. Peak wattage is a short-term sprint. The heat generated by that sprint acts as an equalizer, preventing modern flagships from holding their highest advertised speeds for very long. That throttling dictates the final charging race. From 0 to 100%, Samsung finishes in about 55 minutes. Apple finishes in 80 minutes. Samsung wins the overall race, but that 31% lead is much smaller than the 20-watt spec difference suggests on paper. There is also a critical external variable that limits these charging speeds even further: the wall charger block you decide to use. Older legacy silicon chargers, the kind most of us have sitting in a drawer or plugged behind a nightstand, are inefficient. This diagram shows power moving through a standard silicon block. Notice how up to 30% of the energy bleeds off as thermal waste before it even travels down the cable to your phone. That heat radiating from the wall block compounds the phone's internal temperature, triggering even heavier thermal throttling and dragging out your charge time. To reach top speeds on 2026 flagships, you must upgrade to gallium nitride, or GaN chargers. Shifting to a GaN block, the difference is immediate. It dissipates heat efficiently, shrinking thermal waste, while supporting the strict charging protocols required. Hitting those 55 or 80-minute charge times in the real world is impossible with your old gear. A premium GaN charger is a mandatory purchase. Achieving advertised flagship charging speeds requires an additional cost and specific technical knowledge. Manufacturers often advertise the speed, but place the burden of actually achieving it on the consumer. Charging speed is only half the power equation. We need to look at how well these batteries hold on to that power throughout a full day of use. When we run both phones through continuous battery longevity tests, a clear difference emerges. This scorecard breaks down the final endurance numbers. The iPhone 17 Pro Max yields nearly 18 hours of continuous video playback. The Galaxy S26 Ultra drains completely after about 16 hours. You have to choose your trade-off. You either sacrifice total daily endurance to gain rapid burst charging, or you sacrifice fast charging to ensure the battery reliably lasts from morning until night. This chart maps the choice out visually, weighing your need for burst speed against your need for total battery endurance. Consider the high-mobility traveler bouncing between airports, rarely accessing a wall outlet. You land right here in the high-burst quadrant. The Samsung S26 Ultra is your tool, using a 15-minute 65-watt burst to survive the day. Now consider the predictable user, working at a desk or unplugging at 7 a.m. until bedtime. You sit in this high-endurance corner. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is your choice, with 18-hour longevity bypassing the need for rapid charging. The most effective battery for your situation is the one whose power management reality matches the specific rhythm of your daily life.